YouTube mates, welcome back to my channel. It's Needles by Tara here. In today's tutorial, we're going to be learning how to draft and cut a heart-shaped bell-top neckline with a princess start bustier as displayed on the thumbnail. So with me, I have my pattern well laid out. Please ensure that your pattern paper is on fold. It is very important. Please, like I said, ensure your pattern paper is on fold. So now my pattern paper is on fold. Now we're basically going to go ahead to mark out a straight line at this point. So go in with your straight ruler and go ahead to roll out a straight line at that point, which is going to serve as both your starting line and your shoulder point line. I hope you understand. So with that being done, having imputed our shoulder point line, which is our starting line, now place your tape from your shoulder point line, which is the starting line. We're basically going to go ahead to impute all of our basic point measurements. So starting from your shoulder point line, you're going to be imputing the distance between your client's shoulder to your bust point, which mine is 10.5 inches. Now the distance between your client's shoulder to your under bust point, which mine is 15 inches. Now the distance between your client's shoulder to your waist point, which mine is 18 inches. And lastly, the distance between our client's shoulder to our full blouse length point. So I am going to be using the entire length of my pattern paper as the full length of my blouse. I hope you understand. So I'm basically going to take that measurement to this point to get the consistency and the accuracy of a straight line. With that being done, go in with your straight ruler and connect all those points into each other to form your basic straight lines. So having done that, now we'd basically go in with our marker to label our pattern. So this right here is my shoulder point line. This is my bust point line. This is my under bust point line. This is my front waist point, emphasis on the front waist point, and this is my full blouse length point. Having imputed all of our basic point measurements, now we'd head over to impute the distance between our client's shoulder to chest point. So to get that value, you're going to divide your bust circumference by 6 plus 1.5 inches. Having done that, place your tape from your shoulder point and go ahead to impute that value, which is your bust circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5 inch, which happens to be your now chest point line. I hope you understand. So go ahead to chalk it down. With that being done, reintroduce your straight ruler and roll that point into each other to form your basic straight line. Now go ahead to label this point to be your chest point line, which is exactly what I'm doing. Having imputed your chest point line, now the next thing we'd go ahead to do is to impute our circumference measurement. On your shoulder point line, divide your client's shoulder circumference by 2 and chalk it down at that point. Minus 16 inches divided by 2 would leave us with the value of 8 inches. Please kindly take note, all of your measurements is going to start from the folded part of your pattern paper at your shoulder point. I hope you understand. Now, whatever we have imputed on our shoulder point, we're going to bring that same measurement down to our chest point. So I'm going to bring that value down to my chest point as well and chalk it down. Go in with your straight ruler, connect from your chest point, your shoulder point rather, down to your chest point this way. So with that being done, I need you to pay attention to this point. It is very important. Now from our shoulder point, as you can see on this picture displayed, we went ahead to extend our pattern by 2.5 inches. So I basically went in with an extra pattern, gummed it down at that point and extended my shoulder point by 2.5 inches. I hope you understand. So that was what I did at that point. Now moving forward, the reason why I did that is so that we can achieve our bell-top neckline. Don't worry, as we progress, you definitely get to understand. Now on our shoulder point line, our standard neckline for our basic neckline rather is 3 inches by 3 inches. So on our shoulder point, we're going to be imputing 3 inches being our neckline width. I hope you understand. So it is going to be on the shoulder point and not on the 2.5 inches extension. I hope you understand. So on your shoulder point, I repeat, go ahead to place your tape on your shoulder point and come in at that point by 3 inches, which is your standard neckline width. I hope you understand. So go ahead to chalk it down. Now on your shoulder point all over again, place your tape at that point and come down by 1 inch, which will serve as your shoulder slope. Reintroduce your straight ruler, connect from your 3 inches neckline width into your 1 inch shoulder slope that you have at that point. I hope you understand. So having done that, to get the midpoint of that line, place your tape from your shoulder slope down to your chest point line. With that being done, fold your tape into 2 this way. Now go ahead to chalk down the midpoint of that line, which is exactly what we did at this point. Still at the midpoint of that line, you're going to further come in by 0.5 inch. Lastly, on your chest point line, head over to divide your bust circumference by 4 and chalk it down on your chest point line, which is exactly what I'm doing at this point. So now reintroduce your armhole curve, connect from your shoulder slope into the midpoint of 0.5 inch and extensively down to your chest point line. I hope you understand. So please pay attention to the way my armhole curve is being placed and do go ahead to replicate same for yours. I hope you understand. So with that being done, we've successfully imputed our armhole curve. Now before we progress on to, imputing the rest of our circumference measurements, we're going to first of all work on our neckline, the belt up neckline to be precise. Remember from the shoulder point, we extended that point by 2.5 inches, right? Now on that point line being my shoulder point, we came in at that point for our neckline by 3 inches, which is our neckline width, right? Now on that 3 inches neckline width, you're going to place your tape on that point exactly, and you're going to come up at that point by 1.5 inches. I hope you understand. So head over and come up at that point by 1.5 inches. So to get the consistency and the accuracy of that point, place your tape and measure out your neckline width, which is 3 inches. To that 1.5 inches extension, go ahead to impute that 3 inches as well. Going with your straight ruler, connect from the 1.5 inch extension all the way down to your shoulder point. I hope you understand. So please pay attention to what I'm doing at this point and do go ahead to replicate same for yours. I hope you understand. So please, I need you to pay attention to every single details on this video. Now at that joining point, you're going to go ahead to, basically impute your curve at that point. So you can either do that with your curve ruler or you can equally do this with your free hand. So for your free hand, you're going to place your tape from that joining point and come up at that point by 0.75. Now go ahead to blend that point and make a curve all the way down to your shoulder slope that way. I hope you understand. So because I have a curve ruler, I am basically going to, use my curve ruler to make that curve at that point. So just in case you do not have a curve ruler, just do like I said earlier on this video. So I'm basically going to place my curve ruler properly and align those points into each other by blending it all the way into my shoulder point. Head over to smoothen out that point, which is exactly what I'm doing at this point. Now with that being done, on our shoulder point line, to determine the depth of our neckline. So on this video, I am going to be putting up about 2 different types of neckline. One for the main neckline and the other one to equally serve as a guide in case you want that same neckline for yours. I hope you understand. So on my shoulder point line for my neckline depth, I am going to basically place my tape from my shoulder point and I'm going to be coming down at that point by 6.5 inches. You could do 5 inches, you could do 6 inches or 7 inches as the case may be. So with that being done, you're going to reintroduce your curve ruler, connecting from the 1.5 inch extension all the way into your neckline depth of 6.5 inches. Please pay attention to the way my slightly curved ruler is being placed at this point and do go ahead to replicate same for yours. So head over to connect from the 1.5 inches extension at that point all the way down to the 6.5 inches, which happens to be your neckline depth. So what you're seeing at this point is basically the neckline that we have displaying on your screen as we speak. So if you want this type of belt up neckline, this is how you're going to go about the process, which is exactly what you're seeing at this point. So like I stated earlier on this video, we want to make a neckline that has a heart-shaped belt up. I hope you understand. So to do that, the first initial neckline that we just drew is equally going to serve as a guide. So now place your tape from your shoulder point and come down by 6.5 inches, which is going to be the depth of your neckline. I hope you understand. Now with that being done, You're going to basically use your free hand to do this. So from my shoulder point, I am going to follow out the existing neckline curve that I have at that point, and I'm going to be taking it all the way in this way as though you're drawing out your love shape. So you're going to be making out a love shape at this point. There is no basic standard measurement or any procedural for doing this. You're going to just eyeball this while at this and basically draw out your love shape curve at that point. I hope you understand. So please just pay attention to what I'm doing. So what I did at this point was, from the belt up neckline of 1.5 inches, I took it all the way down to this point, and from that point I extensively went in all the way down as though I am drawing out a love shape, which is exactly what we're doing. And I took from the love shape, making out my love shape curve rather, I took it all the way up to this point. Now, before you get to that point, now remember, for the depth of your neckline, we placed our tape from the shoulder point and came down by 6.5 inches, right? So from that 6.5 inches, you're going to further come up by 0.5 inch and take from that point all the way up to that 0.5 inch to have that shape at that point. I hope you understand. So let me see how to re-explain myself all over again. Please pay attention. From your shoulder point line, remember, you're going to place your tape and come down at that point by 1.5 inches, which is the already existing neckline that we drew at that point. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. Now, from that existing neckline that you came down with at the 1.5 inches, you're going to be making a connection from that point, and you're going to basically draw out a love shape. So if you know how to draw out a love shape, don't worry, it is not that difficult. You're just going to go ahead to blend it all the way in, exactly how I am doing, as though you're drawing out a love shape, which is exactly what you did at that point. Now, once you get to the 6.5 inches, which happens to be the depth of our neckline, you're going to come up at that point by 0.5 inch, and you're going to take your love shape all the way up to that 0.5 inches extension that you have at that point. I hope you understand. So that is the procedural you're going to go about for the input of your heart-shaped belt-up neckline. I hope you understand. So I'm going to go in with my eraser and take off the initial neckline that we have at that point, and voila, our belt-up heart-shaped neckline is ready. So with this being done, you've successfully drew for yourself your heart-shaped belt-up neckline. So I'm going to go in with my marker and re-highlight all those points. I hope you understand. It is not difficult. This is how you're going to go about the drawing of your inverted heart-shaped belt-up neckline. I hope you understand. So with that being done, now we'd head straight to imputing the rest of our basic circumference measurements. Now, from your underbust point, please pay attention. Remember, on your underbust point, you're going to divide your client's nipple to nipple by 2. Your client's nipple to nipple is your bust span. Head over to divide that value by 2 and chalk it down at your underbust point, which mine is 4.5 inches. With that being done, having imputed it at your underbust point, you're going to take that same value down to the full length of your blouse. I hope you understand. Just basically go ahead to chalk it down at that point. With that being done, we're going with our straight ruler, connecting from the full blouse length all the way up to our underbust point. Now, the nipple to nipple that we have on the underbust point, we're going to impute it on our bust point as well. Reintroduce your straight ruler, connect from your underbust point up to your bust point this way. So with that being done, we'd head over to label our pattern. The folded part of your pattern paper is your center front, while the non-folded part is your side front. I hope you understand. Please take note, like I said, your center front is the folded part of your pattern paper, while the non-folded part is your side front. So with that being done, we'd head over to impute our underbust tightening. So please pay attention. On your underbust point at your center front, which is the folded part, you're going to be imputing 0.5 inch at that point. And at your side front, you're going to be chalking down 2 inches or 2.5 inches for a bigger person on your side front. I hope you understand. So now you're going to be imputing that same value at the full length of your blouse. So take from your center front 0.5 inch and impute it at the full length of your blouse. For your side front, impute 2 inches at the full length of your blouse. Go in with your straight ruler and connect those points into each other to form your basic straight lines. I hope you understand. So with this being done, we've successfully imputed our underbust tightening. So like I said, ensure that all of your connections start from your underbust. I hope you understand. So with that being done, now I am going to be imputing the curve of our underbust tightening. So to do that, I would reintroduce my curve ruler, connecting from the 0.5 inch imputed at the center front all the way up to my bust point. Please, I need you to pay attention to the placement of my curve ruler at this point. It is very, very important. It can never be overemphasized. Having imputed that for our center front, now for our side front as well, we'd go ahead to reintroduce our curve ruler connecting from the 2 inches underbust dart imputed on the underbust region all the way up to our bust point. Like I said, please pay attention to the placement of our curve ruler at this point. I hope you understand. Having done that for the side fronts, with that being done, we've successfully imputed our underbust tightening on both the center front and the side fronts. Moving on the shoulder slope of 1 inch that we came down with at that point, we're going to be getting the circumference of our armhole curve. So we're going to be measuring out our armhole curve. So place your tape from your shoulder slope, following out the armhole curve that you have at that point. Take it all the way down to your chest point that you have at that point. I hope you understand. So the total circumference of my armhole is 9.75 at that point. Now you're going to divide that circumference into 2, which is exactly what I'm doing at this point. Now head over to divide that value by 2. Now whatever you have at that point, you're going to place it all over again at your armhole to impute half of that your armhole circumference. I hope you understand. So head over to chalk down the value, which is exactly what I did. Now going with your curve ruler, connecting from the midpoint of your armhole, which is that point, all the way down to your bust point. So please pay attention to the placement of my curve ruler. Ensure it touches the midpoint of your armhole and at the same time it touches your bust point the way mine is situated at this point. Now go in with your marker and go ahead to roll out that point into each other to form your princess curve, which is exactly what you're seeing at this point. Having imputed your princess curve, now we're going to be imputing our dart for our princess curve. Now the total that you're going to be imputing is 1 inch, and 1 inch divided by 2 would leave us with the value of 0.5 inch. So you're going to be distributing that 0.5 inch evenly on both sides of that princess curve. I hope you understand. So at the upper point, you're going to be imputing 0.5 inch, which is exactly what I did. And at the lower point of your princess curve, you're going to be imputing 0.5 inch as well. Now you're going to reintroduce your curve ruler, connecting from the lower side of the dart on the princess curve all the way into your bust point. So you're basically going to blend those darts into your bust point curve. I hope you understand. So just pay attention to what I'm going to be doing at this point and how I'm going to blend my princess dart into my princess curve. I hope you understand. So like we stated earlier, blend from one side of the 0.5 inch of your princess dart into your bust point this way, which is exactly what we did at this point. So we've done that for the lower part of our princess dart. Now for the upper side rather of our princess dart, you're going to place your curve ruler on the 0.5 inch and go ahead to blend from that 0.5 inch all the way into your bust point, which is exactly what I'm doing at this point. And voila, we've successfully imputed our princess dart curve. Now please take note, if you go ahead to eliminate this dart on both sides, you're going to notice that you're definitely going to have a shortage on the lower part of the princess dart. So to augment for the shortage for the lower side of the princess dart, you're going to basically measure out the dart that you have at that point, which in total mine is 1 inch, right? So we imputed 1 inch as the total dart of our princess dart. Now we're going to, from that curvy part, which is the lower part of the princess dart, we're going to come up at that point by that 1 inch for the replacement. Now let me re-explain myself. The 1 inch that you have, which is the dart for your princess curve, you're going to replace it from on the lower side of that your princess curve. And now whatever you have imputed on that point, which is 1 inch, you're going to further replace it on your chest point as well, which is this. Now you're going to go in with your curve ruler or your straight ruler, extend from that armhole curve at the lower part of your princess dart to that 1 inch. This is exactly what we did. We replaced the 1 inch that we have in total for our princess dart at the lower region of our princess curve. Now we further replaced it on the chest point, which is exactly what we did. You're going to reintroduce your curve ruler, connecting from the 1 inch extension of the replacement of our darts all the way into the 1 inch dart that we did replace on our chest point as well. I hope you understand. Please pay attention to the way my curve ruler is being placed and do go ahead to replicate same for yours. I hope you understand. So with this being done, our former armhole curve, which is this point, is no longer valid. Please take notes. The valid armhole curve is the 1 inch extension that we have at that point, which is this point right here. I hope you understand. So with this being done, we've successfully augmented for all the shortage. Now we're going to basically impute the rest of our circumference measurements. Starting from our chest point line, you're going to divide your client's bust circumference by 4 and chalk it down. Remember, we did replace the dart that we have at that point on our chest point as well. Now whatever we have imputed on the chest point rather, we're going to bring that same value down to our bust point, which is our bust circumference divided by 4 and 1 inch dart replacement. At our underbust point, you're going to divide your underbust circumference by 4, measure out the dart that you have in between and replace it on the sides. At your waist point, you're going to divide your waist circumference by 4 and chalk it down. Measure out the dart that you have in between and, replace it on the sides. Lastly, at your full blouse length, divide your hip circumference by 4, chalk it down and replace the dart that you have in between on the sides. I hope you understand. So going with your straight ruler, connect from your chest point down to your waist point this way. Please pay attention to the placement of my straight ruler and do go ahead to replicate same for yours. I hope you understand. Now with the reintroduction of my curve ruler, slightly curved ruler, I am going to connect from my waist point down to my hip point, which is exactly what you're seeing. Head over to blend that point and smoothen out that point. You do not want any sharp edge at any point. Now at the full length of our blouse, you're going to further come up at that point by 1 inch. So you want that point to be a bit stylish, so come up at that point by 1 inch. Still at that 1 inch point, you're going to further extend that point by 1 inch as well. So place your tape and go out at that point by 1 inch. With the reintroduction of your slightly curved ruler, reconnect from your waist point down to that 1 inch extension that we have at that point, which is exactly what I'm doing. Please pay attention to the placement of my slightly curved ruler. Having done that, go ahead to smoothen out that point. Now reintroduce your slightly curved ruler, connect from that 1 inch extension and blend it all the way into your pattern this way. So pay attention to the way my slightly curved ruler is being placed. Blend from the 1 inch extension all the way into your pattern this way. So with this being done, our pattern is ready. So at this point, in case you would want to, basically impute your side dart. Your side dart is the difference between your client's shoulder to front waist point and your client's shoulder to back waist point. So you can feel free to subtract that value from each other. Whatever you have as the leftover would automatically become your side dart. On your bust point, you'd basically go ahead to impute that side dart. I hope you understand. But for the sake of this tutorial, I am not going to be imputing a side dart, so you can feel free to use a side dart. It is not compulsory. I hope you understand. With that being done, I am going to go in with my green marker and I'm going to be shading off all the points that I'm going to be eliminating off from our pattern. So from the underbust point, we're going to be taking this point off as well. We're going to be taking our underbust point darts. Same thing is applicable with our princess dart at this point. We're going to be taking it off. So all the points that we've shaded with our green marker is basically the points that we're going to be eliminating off from our pattern. I hope you understand. So go in with your scissors and basically take off all the side excesses before we go ahead to eliminate the darts that we have at that point. So please pay attention to all the points that I'm taking off from my pattern and do go ahead to replicate same for yours. I hope you understand. So if you have watched this video to this point, it certainly means that you're getting value for your time well spent on this video. As a little way of encouraging us to do more for the sewing community, kindly hit on the subscription button, like and follow for more of this related content. So having eliminated our shoulder slope, now we're going to be taking from the shoulder point, following the curvy part of our armhole. Once you get to the lower side of our princess dart, you're going to stop at that point. I hope you understand. Do not cut into the former armhole point. I hope you understand. Now you're going to take from the chest point line. Like we said earlier on, the former armhole is no longer valid. This is the valid armhole point, which is the second armhole. So you're going to be taking off the excesses that we have at that point. Carefully take it all the way up. I hope you understand. So with that being done, we're going to take off this point. Go ahead to eliminate the excess at that point, and voila, we've gone ahead to basically eliminate all of our side excesses. Now moving on, we're going to go ahead to eliminate the excesses that we have on our heart-shaped belt top neckline. We're going to take from this point carefully, and we're going to trace out the heart-shaped belt top neckline that we have at that point. So please be very careful while at this. Take it gently all the way around and be patient while at this so that you do not ruin your already existing heart-shaped belt top neckline. I hope you understand. You're going to carefully take it all the way up to the 1.5 inches extension that we have at that point. With that being done, we're going to basically take off our underbust dart. You're going to cut through the midpoint of that point, take it all the way up this way. Just pay attention to what I'm doing and do go ahead to replicate same for yours. So now once you get to the bust point line, you're going to be following out the lower part of the princess dart curve, which is exactly what I'm doing at this point. Take from the lower part all the way up. Having separated the center front from the side front, now we'd go ahead to eliminate the underbust dart that we have at this point all the way up here, following the shape that we have imputed at that point. I hope you understand. So with that being done, now we'd head over to, basically take off the princess dart that we have at that point. So flipping my pattern to this point, I would go ahead to take off the princess dart that we have at that point. Just go ahead to eliminate the excess at that point, which is exactly what I'm doing at this point. Having done that for the center front, now we'd go ahead to replicate that same process for our side front as well. So with this being done, we've successfully eliminated all of our excesses. Now we'd go ahead to open up our pattern, and voila, you can see how beautiful our heart-shaped belt top neckline came out looking. Look at the flow from the neckline, how it flows all the way down. Look at the sharp edge at that point. Look at the love shape. It is giving everything it's literally supposed to give, and you can see our well imputed princess dart at that point, how the hemline sits beautifully. Now moving on to our back pattern. This is our back pattern. Our pattern is well laid out for the input of our back pattern. Now we're going to go ahead to label our pattern. This is my shoulder point line. This is my bust point line. This is my back waist point line, and lastly, this is my back full blouse length point line. Having imputed all of our basic point line, remember at this point, we came up at that point by 2.5 inches. I basically imputed another pattern and extended that point by 2.5 inches, just like we did for the front pattern. I hope you understand. So on the shoulder point, we're now basically going to impute the distance between our client's shoulder to the back pattern. But before we do that, remember for your back pattern, you're supposed to have your zipper allowance, right? I am not going to be doing that for mine. Once I transfer this to my fashion fabric, I am going to impute my zipper allowance. So place your tape from your shoulder point and come down by the distance between your shoulder to your chest point, just like you did with your front pattern. Going with your straight ruler, connect that point into a straight line and label this point to be your chest point line. I hope you understand. So like I stated earlier on, at this point, if you want to impute a zipper allowance directly on your pattern, you could go ahead to impute it, and basically from that point, go ahead to impute the rest of your measurements. So for mine, I'm going to do that directly on my fashion fabric. So on my shoulder point, you're going to divide your shoulder circumference by 2 and chalk it down. Please take note, you're imputing it on your shoulder point. Now, whatever you have on your shoulder point, please bring it to your chest point as well. Going with your straight ruler, connect from your shoulder point down to your chest point, which is exactly what I'm doing at this point. Now, go ahead to extend this point all the way in. Now, with that being done, for our back neckline, remember, on your shoulder point, you're going to impute 3 inches, which was your front neckline width, for your back neckline as well. Place your tape and come down at that point by 1 inch. Going with your ruler, connect from your 3 inches neckline width into your 1 inch shoulder slope for your back pattern. I hope you understand. So having done that, To get our belt up neckline for our back pattern, remember at this point we came in by 3 inches, which is our neckline width. Place your tape and come up at that point by 1.5 inches. Now to get the accuracy, measure out the 3 inches that you have for your neckline width and place it on that 1.5 inches extension. Go in with your straight ruler, connect from the 1.5 inches extension for your belt up neckline down to your shoulder slope. I hope you understand. So with that being done, to get the, to make the curve at that point, you're basically going to go in with your curve ruler and you're going to smoothen and blend in that point. I hope you understand. So just like we did with our front pattern, we'd go ahead to replicate same for our back pattern. I hope you understand. Please go ahead to blend this all the way in this way. So now bring your front pattern, go ahead to align it on each other, ensuring that it aligns perfectly. If it does, you're certainly on the right track, which is exactly what I have at this point. I hope you understand. So with that being said, I am going to go in with my slightly curved ruler and not my straight ruler. Go in with your slightly curved ruler, connect from that 1.5 inches extension all the way into that point this way. So please pay attention to the way my slightly curved ruler is being placed at that point and go ahead to blend that point all the way down this way. So with this being done, we've successfully imputed our back belt up neckline. Now place your tape from your shoulder slope down to your chest point, fold your tape into 2 and chalk down the midpoint. At the midpoint line, you're going to further come in by 0.5 inch. Lastly, on your chest point, divide your bust circumference by 4 and chalk it down at that point. Now go in with your armhole curve, connecting all those points into each other to form your basic armhole curve, just like we did with the front pattern. I hope you understand. So please pay attention to what I'm doing and do go ahead to replicate same for yours. So with that being done, on our waist point line, please take note, you're going to be imputing your basic back darts. So you're going to divide your nipple to nipple by 2. On your waist point line, go ahead to chalk down half of that measurement at that point. Having done that, place your tape from that point and come down by either 5 inches or 4.5 inches as the case may be for the length of your darts. Now whatever you have on your waist point, bring it down to that 5 inches point, which is the dart length for our blouse. Now you're going to go ahead to, place your tape from your bust point, come down at that point by 1 inch, which is exactly what I'm doing. Now to get the accuracy, measure out what you have on your waist point down to that 1 inch that you came down with on your bust point and chalk it down. Go in with your straight ruler and connect those points into each other to form your basic straight line, which is exactly what I'm doing at this point. Now to impute your darts, measure in 0.5 inch at the center front and 0.5 inch at the side front. Go in with your straight ruler, connect from that 0.5 inch all the way up to that point on both the center front and the side front. And from the 0.5 inch, go ahead to connect it all the way down to the length of your dart, which is 5 inches on both sides. I hope you understand. So with this being done, we've successfully imputed our dart for our blouse. Now we'll head over to impute our circumference measurement. On your bust point, divide your bust circumference by 4 and chalk it down. On your waist circumference, divide your waist circumference divided by 4 and chalk it down. Replace the dart that you have at that point. On your full blouse length, divide your hip circumference by 4, chalk it down at that point. Now go in with your straight ruler, connect from your chest point down to your waist point line, which is exactly what I'm doing at this point. Please pay attention. Go ahead to replicate same for yours. I hope you understand. So with our slightly curved ruler, I'm going to be connecting from my waist point down to my full blouse length for my back pattern. Please ensure to use your slightly curved ruler for this purpose. Please go ahead to blend this point all the way in. Now on the full length of our blouse, remember like we did for the front pattern, come up at that point by 1 inch. Now at that 1 inch point, you're going to further come out again by 1 inch, just like you did for the front pattern. Reintroduce your curve ruler, connect from your waist point down to that 1 inch extension that you have at that point. I hope you understand. So with that being done, please go ahead to smoothen out that point. Reintroduce your slightly curved ruler all over again, connect from the 1 inch extension all the way into your pattern this way. Please pay attention to what I'm doing and do go ahead to replicate same for yours. I hope you understand. So I'm basically going to smoothen out this point, take it all the way in this way, and our back pattern is ready. So now to eliminate our zipper bulge on your waist point region, you're going to come in at that point by 0.5 inch. Having done that, reintroduce your straight ruler, Connect from that 0.5 inch all the way up and take from that point all the way down. So basically pay attention to what I'm doing at this point and do go ahead to replicate same for yours. So this is the process you're definitely go ahead to replicate for the elimination of your zipper bulge for your back pattern. I hope you understand. So with this being done, we've successfully eliminated our zipper bulge. So I'm going to go in with my marker and I'm going to be taking off this point by making some strokes at that point. So we'll go in with our scissors and eliminate the zipper bulge that we have at this point. Please pay attention to what I'm doing and do go ahead to replicate same for yours. Gradually take from the lower point all the way up to this point this way to eliminate your zipper bulge. Now I'm going to be eliminating my side excesses, so I won't have to say much at this point. Just sit back and watch while I take you through that process. And voila, look how stunning our back pattern came out looking. This is very beautiful. Our well imputed belt up neckline at that point, you can see how it flows all the way in with a slightly curvular curve. You can see how this point curves all the way down to your shoulder slope, all the way down to your armhole, all the way down to your full blouse length and the extension. You can see the dart input that we have at this point. So like I stated earlier on this video, I am going to be taking this dart directly off from my fashion fabric. I hope you understand. So look at our well eliminated zipper bulge at that point. So with that being said, we're going to bring back all of our pattern and look at how stunning every part and every piece of this pattern came out looking. You can see our well imputed heart-shaped belt up neckline, how it is seated pretty, how it flows all the way down to our shoulder slope. You can see the love shape that we have at that point. This is very beautiful. The consistency and the accuracy of this point can never be overemphasized. So look how beautiful our princess that is looking at that point. The princess curve, to be precise. Look at how it flows all the way down. Our well imputed armhole on both sides. It is looking very pretty. Same thing is applicable with our hemline of the blouse. It is very, very beautiful on every side. Now moving on to the back pattern, you can see how beautiful our back pattern came out looking. Our well imputed neckline, you can see how the belt up neckline flows all the way down. Our waist point, look at how it flows all the way down to our full blouse length. Our well imputed or eliminated zipper bulge, our well imputed that for our back pattern. Like we stated earlier on, we're going to be taking this dart directly off from our fashion fabric. I hope you understand. So please kindly take notes. This pattern has no basic sewing allowances. So at this point, I'm going to be showing you all the basic allowances that you're going to be imputing on your pattern. So starting from our bust region, from the princess dart curve, you're going to be imputing 0.5 inch on both sides all the way around. Same is applicable with this side, 0.5 inch all the way around. Now at your armhole, you're going to be imputing 0.5 inch. And this other part as well, you're going to be imputing 0.5 inch. On your neckline, which happens to be the shoulder slope, you're going to be imputing 0.5 inch at that point on both sides of your shoulder. Now on your neckline, you're going to be imputing 0.5 inch all the way around, following the heart belt up neckline that we have at that point. I hope you understand. So go ahead to add 0.5 inch all the way around, following the heart belt up neckline that we have at that point. Now for the side seam of our front pattern, you're going to use either 1 inch or 2 inches, but note that whatever you're going to be using as the side seam for your front pattern, you must most definitely use that same side seam on your back pattern. I hope you understand. So if you're using 1 inch for the side seam for your front pattern, you're going to use that same side seam for your back pattern. I hope you understand. On the hemline, go ahead to add 0.5 inch to turn it up with your lining. I hope you understand. Now moving on to our back pattern. On our belt up neckline at this point, you're going to add 0.5 inch. On the shoulder, 0.5 inch. At your armhole, 0.5 inch. Now on the side seam, like I said, whatever you're going to use as the side seam of your front pattern, you must ensure that you're using that same side seam for your back pattern. And on the full length, you're going to be imputing 0.5 inch at the hemline. Now for your zipper allowance, remember we didn't add any zipper allowance at this point, so we're going to go ahead to add either 1 inch or 2 inches zipper allowance. So those are all the basic allowances that you're going to be needing for the sewing part of this beautiful heart-shaped belt up neckline. So with that being said, we've come to the end of our tutorial. Up next on my channel is going to be the tutorial for the sewing part of this beautiful princess start bustier with a heart-shaped belt top neckline. Thank you, and I'm going to be seeing you on my next video. Bye!